Hey, how you doing? I'll fluff up my pillow a little bit here. I know it is really cold out right now. I just had to get down to my base layer. Well, like anybody else, you don't want to sleep in all your clothes, because then when you get tucked in and warmed up with all those clothes on, when you go to get out in the morning, now all those clothes are actually going to make you cold. So that's why I just sleep in my base layer here. Really glad they gave us these military sleeping bags here. They are pretty nice. Now, I'd like to have a little pillow here for some support, but I mean, when you get zipped up, you can literally have just your head sticking out. It's kind of crazy to think about. But, guess we can just sort of lie here. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not tired just yet. Yeah. Maybe I am a little bit. But I don't think I can go to sleep just yet. I don't know about you, but I haven't been camping in, gosh, it's been a while. Yeah. We used to go with the scouts like monthly. God, I mean, so for Cub Scouts we used to do it like, I think it was like twice a year. But for Boy Scouts, when I was like 11 to 18, I mean, we were doing it every month for 7 years. But I haven't been. This is my first trip in a while. How about you? That's what I thought. But I don't know. There's just something about, like, we just had dinner by the fire. Something about just cooking on cast iron. What we used to do. So the thing is always to try to make as little dishes as possible, because there's nothing worse than after eating a nice hearty meal, now you gotta go clean up a bunch of stuff. So what we used to do is, try to make as little cleanup as possible. There's one dish we made. You'd take your cast iron pan, you'd fill it up with some type of crust, and then you'd put scrambled eggs, bacon, cheese, all in there. Put the crust on top, and then all you've dirtied up is one pan and one spatula, and it makes a nice. I don't even know what we used to call it. It's like a breakfast casserole kind of thing. Yeah, but you only dirtied up one pan, so that was always a nice thing. So while everyone else is out there, cleaning up multiple skillets and just a bunch, we tried to be smart about it. There's one camp out we did where, so a couple nights before the camp out, we'd go Friday night, because everyone still was in school. You'd go Friday night, all of Saturday, and then we'd leave Sunday morning. And we made it our mission, the older scouts, to have bacon with every meal. So we went, and it was the scouts' job, to budget for food, and you had to budget it out and actually go buy it. And letting a bunch of like 16-year-olds buy, we bought way too much bacon, let me put it that way. And we did. We had bacon with every meal. But it was hysterical. I mean, people were putting, I think we got a little too much. We did like a bacon weave. We had so much, people were putting bacon in their drinks. Like, just because we didn't know what to do with it. Crazy what happens on some campouts. I'm getting a little chilly. Yeah, that's the only problem with these kind of campouts. I mean, your body heat kind of keeps the tent a little warm, but I just took off all my layers for the day, so it is getting a little chilly in here. You put this tent up pretty quickly. I mean, I'll give you that. I was gonna help you because usually it's like a 2-person job, but I just went to go get some stuff real quick, and you already had the tent up. I was pretty impressed. I'm gonna set myself up a little bit here. Yeah, it's getting a little chilly out. I know they gave these sleeping bags out for free. You didn't hear that story? The local Army-Navy store. They're a big supporter of the Scouts. But they had a whole mess of these military surplus bags, and they gave them out for free. And the problem was, this is a 0-degree bag, so it's good. They had it was like a negative 20-degree bag, so I mean it is really good for cold weather, but it was like way heavier than this one. Yeah, so this one's great for like fall, winter, and all that. Problem is when it's snowing outside, that's when it really gets cold. Yeah, so sometimes I'll have to, typically, an underlayer like this, it's fine. But then in the morning, when I go to get out of it, I'm not going to want to get out. This bag retains heat very well. Yeah. I'll tell you what, it is quite comfy. One of my buddies, he used to, don't ask me why, because I don't have the answer to that, but he'd zip himself up so just his head was exposed, and then he'd actually go out into the campsite and just start rolling around, and he'd call himself Wormy Man and pretend he was a worm. I can't even make that stuff up. I mean, I don't get it. Yeah, so anytime he would come over, even not as a camp out, if he just wanted to spend the night at my house, his mom was getting on his nerves, or he was staying over late, he'd hop in this thing and then just start rolling around calling himself Wormy Man. You couldn't take it out of him. He saw this bag and he just he got hyper focused on Wormy Man. I just don't understand. I really don't. I mean, I guess we're out here. No cell phones, no electronics of any kind. I mean, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do to stay entertained, right? Yeah. Something just quite. We used to. Now we're in a tent right now, but we used to do these. Oh my god, you probably couldn't pay me to do that again. Maybe if they did it in the summertime. We used to do. We called it wilderness survival. So we would go out in like the middle of December, sometimes January, but it was really cold out, and we treated it like, a survival situation. So the first night, we would just have our sleeping bags, and we would sleep under the stars. And for me, I've done that a couple of times. I've done that, like with the Order of the Arrow and stuff. But the problem is, I can never sleep good just under the stars. And typically what ends up happening is I'll wake up like every hour or so, and you can literally just watch, like the moon will be over here, you'll fall asleep for like 30 minutes, an hour, and then it'll be here, then it'll be here, and then you can just follow it across the night sky until the sun comes up. Yeah, I'd wake up like, 6-7 times a night, It was just not my favorite. And since we were treating it like a true survival situation, then we'd go from there. We would hike to a good camping area, set up our shelters, which were typically just like, we just threw a tarp over some trees and tied it down, and then throw your sleeping bag underneath of it. And let me tell you, having a tarp over your head doesn't sound like much, but it makes a huge difference. I mean, even now, like the tent we're in, it's not much, but just, staying away from the wind and the cold breeze, and it does make a huge difference. I mean, it's a little chilly in here, but it's still not bad compared to just, I could just open the door right now at our feet, and it would really change things up in here. But yeah, once we got the shelter, I remember what we used to do. So in a survival situation, if you had like 10 people like we did, you don't want the fire going out, because that was like our only source of warmth. So we'd get a fire going, like the old-fashioned way. We might achieve. I don't know if we used we used some flint and steel. I don't even know if I can make a fire like that anymore. Just some old, some tinder and flint and steel. Maybe. I'm probably out of practice, but get the fire going, and then you don't want to go through all of that to get it going again. So we would take turns. 2 of us would stay awake for 2 hours and do shifts to make sure the fire didn't go out. And I remember when we did that, each time we did it was different, but the one time we did do the 2-hour shifts, might have been the only time. I did wilderness survival like 5-6 times, but I think there was only one time we did it like that, where we actually stayed up, and I think I was like the 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. shift. And just, when you're like 14, 15 years old, you're tired out of your mind from just a long weekend. This is now Saturday night, and then we went to bed probably around like 10, 11, so we're running off of like 3 hours of sleep. And then you get woken up to, watch the fire, keep putting logs on it. The conversations you have when you are just like incredibly tired. It's almost like you just start making noises at each other. You start like, it's definitely quite the experience. I mean, I like the tent. don't get me wrong, but it's definitely an experience to go through something like that. And then to finally, well, I mean, normal, that was wilderness survival. Normal campouts were just, we'd get there Friday night, have some dinner, just sit around a fire and chat. You'd go to bed, you'd wake up, make breakfast. Saturday, you'd do like a light lunch, but Saturday would just be whatever like that park had, or that wherever we were at. Typically it'd be like hiking the local trails. The one memory I have, there was one, I don't remember exactly where it was at, but it was like a long, I want to say it was like a 10-mile hike that day. And so what we did was we left after breakfast. We just loaded up our lunch in our backpack, like all our hydration bags had all lunch in it, and then just at some point along the trail. I like that when there's no like real. I like it when there's a schedule, like things are planned out. But there's something about just, hey, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tackle a 10. I forget how long it was. It was a long hike that day. Might have even been more, but we're gonna tackle a 10-mile hike. It's like 9 in the morning, and just, hey, all we need to do is get back by dinner. So you're just out there, you find a pretty spot, like on a hill or a mountain, and you say, hey, this is a great spot for some lunch. So that's where you unpack and make lunch. And I remember we were making lunch, and, just a bunch of kids and some adult leaders and stuff. We called it the Summer Sausage Bowl, because we had like a big tube of summer sausage. And like we were bored, and so we set ourselves up into 2 teams, and we played a football game with summer sausage. So I do still remember the Summer Sausage Bowl. I don't know, it's just silly little things like that. Like I said, there's no planned spot or time for lunch. Just, hey, this is a great little spot. We can play some Summer Sausage Bowl. We can play, eat, relax, unwind, and then continue on. Get back by camp, eat some dinner. Same thing, just chat. Sometimes we did like night navigation or night hikes, but typically it was just hanging around by the fire and chatting. And then Sunday morning, eat breakfast and pack up. You always want to, for Sunday mornings, you want to make it as little cleanup as possible. So sometimes not even cooking something. I mean, sometimes we would cheat and just do like ham and cheese sandwiches for breakfast. But that way you could get packed up and on the road as soon as possible. And I mean, some campsites so we always met at the local church. We'd meet our families to take us home. And sometimes it was only like a 20-minute drive to the church or something like that. But then other times it was like a couple hours. But let me tell you something. When it's Sunday morning, I mean, you're 3 days without a shower, just in the woods. There's nothing like coming home, having a nice shower, nice home-cooked meal, turning on some football, just getting back in. I don't know, there's just something about it, Yeah. I don't know, there's just something about camping. I think just even in our regular lives, like, would it be nice to have every day off? Yeah, just every day to relax and everything, but I feel like camping as the example, when you get back on Sunday, like you really appreciate being home and having that like just having your phone and your electricity and everything again. Like it just makes it even all the more special. So just going out, experiencing nature, just enjoying hanging out with friends, and then coming back to it, it gives you time to enjoy all this, and then makes coming home all that much more sweeter. It is getting a little chillier. Well, if you don't get zipped up here soon, you're gonna get cold. I told you, once you get in this thing, you just don't want to get out. Now I got something in my eye. But, well, I think I'll probably go to bed here now. But I'm glad you joined me. I'm glad we got to have a camp out together. Like I said, I haven't been to a camp out in quite some time now. So, yeah, if you want to do this again, just let me know. I guess I'll make some breakfast for us in the morning, and then we can get on out of here. All right.